Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning, live edition. PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It is a Monday. We'll have JC, and then we'll have Bob Redman from Florida Victorious, who covers a lot of the recruiting and just kind of get an update on portals closing here any day now. Just kind of get an update. A lot of people who follow it closely know what's going on. A lot of people who've been busy with the holidays have no idea what's going on. I'm one of those guys. If you missed it last night, Redskins win in overtime. I didn't see the second half at all. I was asleep. Two really good quarterbacks. We'll talk about quarterbacks in the National Football League, where it sits right now. Boy, it's good, in my opinion. Let's go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. The Mighty Gators stay undefeated in non-conference play. They go 12-0, and they open up conference play at Rupp Saturday against the Big Blue Nation. Jason, good morning. You're on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp.
I'm calling Comfort Temp. I mean, this bed mattress I have it's just killing my shoulders. I just feel like I feel like I've been run over by a car.
Okay, well, hang on a second. You're going to call Comfort Temp because your shoulder here?
No, that's not the one. It's the one. Don't we do the mattress company? What the hell is the mattress company? Anyway,
what's the mattress? We don't do mattresses on this show.
Oh, geez.
Maybe we should go buy a mattress and tell them to sponsor us.
I'll get Ashley Furniture. Thankfully, I got the 90-day sleep guarantee where I can take back this ridiculous mattress. I mean,
what's wrong with it?
It's so hard, and my shoulders. Like I said, I feel like I've just been run over by a car every morning I wake up. It may have something to do with the pillows too. It's a real problem we have over here.
Did you buy some of those? My pillows from one of those infomercials.
That Mike is the guy from Minnesota who sells those. He's a conservative, by the way, in the liberal state of Minnesota, and he sells those pillows. I might have to give him a call and get Ashley Furniture on the sponsorship train here.
Ashley Furniture.
Well, I mean, I go and spend $6,000 on a bedroom set, and the bed makes me feel like I've been through a wrestling match with Hulk Hogan. So at any rate, I got to limber up, QB. I got to loosen up. I don't have you caught me earlier today. I don't have my creatine. I got this instead.
I didn't catch you. It's the same time, same place every week.
It's the holidays. We've got a lot going on. QB, the football has just been tremendous. These bowl games, have you been watching any of them, or are you just kind of just glancing at them as you go?
I've watched some of them. Speaking of one of the bowl games that you probably want to touch on, Daryl says here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. What did y'all think about Cam Ward opting out of the second half in their bowl?
QB, I mean, if you're going to do that, just don't play. I don't know.
Well, he played to break the record.
Yeah, is that really the purpose of the bowl game, though? I mean,
Malik Neighbors did it, I think, last year. He broke some record.
It just doesn't sit well.
I could care less what Miami does.
I know, but what if it were somebody that plays for Florida? How would you feel about that?
Well, hang on. Tony wants to know on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melda Law. JC, did you finance the new waterbed? Remember the waterbeds?
No, I'm not. I do remember waterbeds.
They were terrible.
I never had one.
Terrible.
Yeah, those things. Wow, waterbeds. Yeah, that brings me back.
That was big in Yon Hall back when I got here as a freshman. Everybody had a waterbed.
Yeah, man. I tell you, anything would be better right now than that concrete slab I'm laying on. QB, I don't think I feel good about the Cam Ward thing. If I was a Miami fan, I'd probably not be very happy about it. But at the same time, these teams are playing these bowl games as if their lives depended on it. You can see the intensity in some of these games, QB, and it's really impressive. East Carolina won the other night against NC State, and a riot almost broke out. And it's not the first time. There were some other bowl games that we've had where these teams are really going after each other. It's really amazing. It's like they're auditioning for something, these players. But these bowl games have been more intense than I have expected them to be, and they've been pretty good, except if you're Colorado and you just showed up to show everybody how great you are, and BYU steps all over you and embarrasses you. Now, that did happen. But other than that, I think these bowl games have been pretty damn entertaining, if you ask me. I really have enjoyed watching them. And listen, that team, Miami, that game was very, very entertaining.
Yeah, it was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it's very entertaining.
Yeah,
If you like offense.
Andy says the Pop-Tart Bowl was a clear winner for Pop-Tarts. Yeah,
Pop-Tart.
they do a really good job.
Yes, they
in
do.
the marketing department.
Yes, they do.
Of the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
They are into it. They are all into it. And when I saw Cole Kubelik in a Pop-Tart with his head coming through the Pop-Tart, I fell out of my sofa laughing so hard because he was trying to be serious talking about something with regards to the game at the beginning, and it just cracked me up. I mean, these Pop-Tart things are funny. So that was a really entertaining thing to watch. And even if you didn't have any straw in the drink there or anything going on during the game, it was a lot of fun to watch. And I got to be honest with you, I think these bowl games have been very entertaining. So, we've got the big ones coming up tomorrow and then Wednesday. And QB, I know that's what I'm going to be doing, sitting around watching that all day. And today we have one bowl game with Missouri and Iowa. Everybody's talking about the SEC this and the SEC that, not being this or not being that. The Big Ten is really dominating and blah, blah, blah. We're going to find out when these playoffs are over who's going to be left standing. And I'm going to predict at least one SEC team is going to play for the national title. It's going to be one of the two. And I don't know which one. But I think it's going to be fun to watch on Wednesday. And then tomorrow night, we start with Penn State and Boise. Wouldn't it be fun to see Boise State win that? If you don't love Penn State, I would love to see Boise State, shock the world and win that game. But because I don't think Penn State's as great as everybody wants to make them out to be. I don't think Drew Allar is that great. I think he's an average quarterback. I'd rather have somebody else. But Alabama starts it off tomorrow, and then South Carolina plays, and then LSU plays right after that. So you've got Alabama, South Carolina, LSU tomorrow, and then you've got on the nightcap Penn State and Boise. So there's a lot of fun things to get involved in the next 2 days.
Well, why don't we go ahead and do a little Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry, Port Charlotte, surrounding areas. Let's do we're not going to have a Wednesday show. We'll be here every other day of the week. You won't see JC again until Friday. Let's go ahead how did we do on the picks over the weekend, by the way?
Not all that great. I got to be honest. I didn't do very well at all. Now you had OU, that was a loser, and I took Navy, but Navy was on the line that I got somehow. Yeah, OU was a favorite. When the line went off, the game went off, Navy was the favorite, but that's how we went through it. You did win that Vanderbilt game. That was a very good pick. They kind of dominated Georgia Tech physically. I was very impressed with Vandy. Arkansas and Texas Tech. We had Arkansas players stepping on people's ankles in scrums. We had a lot of violence in that game, and I don't really know why, because I never knew that Arkansas and Texas Tech hated each other, but Arkansas dominated them. You picked Arkansas. That was a good pick. We both lost with Texas A&M. I mean, and
I thought I took USC to cover the game, but A&M
the SEC team. You took the SEC team.
I know, but I think if we go back, I said A&M's going to win, but it doesn't matter.
You better check the tape. And then we both took North Carolina like idiots. You took Nebraska. Good pick there. BC did cover. They lost by 5. I took BC. And then you told me to forget about these lousy bowl games, and we moved on with our lives. You did take Arizona or Iowa State. That was a good pick by you, and I took Miami. And then in the pro games, we both had. I think you took New England. I'm not sure why.
I don't know why I took New England. That was
dumb.
Dumb.
That was dumb. The Chargers embarrassed them. I tell you what, the Chargers. I'm going to go get that hat today down at Lids in the mall. I'm going to go to the mall, QB, and I'm going to go.
I have not been to that mall.
I know, in 25 years.
See, my daughter graduated high school in 20. Hell, I don't even remember when she graduated. 2015, 2016.
That mall is,
and she used to do this silly dance.
Yeah.
There.
And you went
during Halloween, her dance company, and I'd have to go watch that. So I did. I went to the mall. That was the only time I ever went to the mall in her 15 years of dancing.
Wow.
And I ain't been to that mall since.
Well, you have not missed much.
JC, do you still shop at JC Penney?
I like Dillard's now. I'm a Dillard's guy. And I did find out that Dillard's has 2 different buildings. I walked through looking for the women's department, and I was in the men's store. They took over the building that used to be Macy's at the end, and it's empty in that place. And Dillard's now has 2 buildings. So I'm a Dillard's guy. I like Dillard's. You know, one of the great things about Dillard's is that they wrap your presents for you. You take them upstairs, and they will wrap your presents for Christmas. And they have 2 young people up there wrapping presents. It was very easy to shop at Dillard's. I'm a Dillard's guy. All right, so let's see. We've got Iowa, Missouri, and Missouri is the SEC team playing. I just don't know what quarterback is going to be in this. These games are tough because you don't know who's in and who's out.
Well, I will tell you this.
Luther Burden is
I don't care if Chuck Long comes back and plays for Iowa.
I know.
They stink on offense.
That's so bad.
Just give me Missouri.
I'm taking them too. And then tomorrow we've got a big whole slate of games, really exciting, entertaining games, I hope. But a lot of guys missing from Michigan. They're going to be missing 20, 25 players. Alabama's going to be missing about 10 or 15. And, normally people would get excited about this game. I as an Alabama graduate, I couldn't really care less.
You're not supporting your team, JC. You should be in Tampa.
Yeah, right. I've supported them enough. I'm taking Alabama because Michigan's got no players, and I don't know who their running backs are gone. Their linemen are gone. I don't know who's going to play for them. So it's 13.5 points. It's a lot. You'd probably want to take Michigan, but I don't think they're going to have.
I'm going to take Alabama.
You're going to take Alabama.
I don't think Alabama's going to play great either, but
no, I don't either. Okay, so that starts it off at 12, and then it's followed by South Carolina, who will have their guys. That I think it's been an amazing thing what South Carolina's been able to do this year. Everybody's impressed with them. 9 wins this year. They've got Illinois. They lay 10. It's just hard to see who's going to really show up and play hard with 30 days off or however many days they've had off since they beat Clemson. But I don't like necessarily.
I'm going to take the Illini.
Yeah.
I think South Carolina's going to win the game, but I think Illinois will play them tough.
Okay, I'll take South Carolina. Because I don't know what Illinois is going to present.
Well, Luke Altmaier, he's a good player, man.
He is a good player.
I assume he's their quarterback still.
We'll see. I assume you're probably right. Baylor and LSU play at 3:30. They kick off in the Texas Bowl, and I've got LSU to beat Baylor, but Baylor will probably win. It's 3.5. Baylor is laying 3.5 to LSU. I don't think Brian Kelly wants to show up and be bad and have a bad performance. People are not.
I didn't even know Baylor made a bowl game. I thought they were trying to fire Dave Aranda there.
Baylor made it.
I'll take LSU. Too many dudes.
Baylor finished 8-4. I was impressed with them. I've got you with LSU now. Okay. I put down Baylor for some
real quick. Gator Art's question on YouTube brought to you by.
I like Gator Art.
And he says, Shane, if you were the coach at Georgia Tech during the Vandy game, how would you have behaved?
Mm-hmm.
That coach should have pulled his players off the field. Rigged officials. I watched that whole game. I didn't think it was rigged.
It felt like Vandy got all the calls. It just did.
Vandy outplayed them, first of all.
Yeah, Vandy did outplay them, and
Vandy was the better team. I mean, look. Calls can go either way. I don't get into the old officials because you could have a penalty on every play.
Well, it just seemed to all go against Tech, and Brent Key was enraged on the sideline. I mean, he's losing his mind over there. I don't know if he was mad at his team or the officials, but Georgia Tech was pushed around in that game, and Haynes King was not 100%. He looked like he was 50%.
What do you mean? He was a more percentage healthy than he was when he played against Georgia?
I know, but you can see him basically limping off to the sideline. He was hit a lot, and he was hammered. And they
Vanderbilt whipped their ass, basically. That's all you got to say.
Well, okay. I mean, look, Vanderbilt, Pavia
I'm telling you, he's the poor man Tim Tebow. It's that simple.
But he's brought a lot to
He doesn't do anything that you go, wow, he can really throw. He just finds ways to make plays. Daryl says JC only supports his team when they're in the playoffs or the national championship.
Yeah. Daryl, when you get to 7 championships since graduation, that's really all you care about, Daryl. And you're absolutely right. I support him. I want him to beat Michigan, but I'm not sitting up at night thinking about it, honest to God. And I know a lot of people like me who aren't either. So, if they had played Penn State or Notre Dame a couple weeks ago, it'd been all in. I was going to go to Notre Dame. I had American Airlines lined up and ready to go with a refundable ticket. I was going to go to that game, so I would have supported them. But playing a skeleton staff, again, a skeleton team in Michigan, meaning a lot of players missing on both sides, does not excite me. It's just a bowl. It's a check. It's a paycheck. And I'm glad they get to go to Busch Gardens. I'm glad they get to go to the Outback or whatever and eat dinner. I'm happy for them. They got rewarded. They might
I don't
win.
even think it's called the Outback Bowl anymore.
I don't either, but I'm sure there's an Outback they probably went to. And listen, that's 10 wins if they can beat Michigan. And Kalen DeBoer in his first year in an impossible job to replace Nick Saban. Winning 10 games would be an accomplishment. I'll live with the losses to Oklahoma and Vandy. I also saw him beat Georgia again. Jalen Milroe owns Georgia. He's 2-0 against Georgia. And they also won they beat a couple of other pretty decent teams. So, LSU, they embarrassed LSU. Embarrassed in Happy Valley. All right. They embarrassed LSU in Happy Valley. That's always a good thing. And Florida gets to play at Happy Valley next year. And maybe Florida can start a little streak on LSU the way they beat them up and down the field down here at the Ben Hill. So then we get to Wednesday, since we're not going to do it. Louisville is laying 2 to Washington. I love Louisville to beat Washington in this game. I think they'll run all over the field against Washington. You like Louisville? I'm pretty sure you do. That's your favorite coach.
Yeah, I love Jeff Brom.
He's your favorite coach.
I think his team next year is going to be very good.
Well, he's your favorite coach. I mean, you think
he's one of them. Yes.
You do love him. You have a love affair with him. All right. So
Mark wants to know, does Pavia's talents translate to the NFL? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
He has zero chance of playing at the next level.
Okay. Well, maybe he can be a Tyson. He can be what the Saints use at Tyson Hill. Is that?
But Tyson Hill is a 4.4, 4.3 runner. I mean, he is extremely fast. Pavia is not.
Okay.
I'm not. No, Vanderbilt, all you Vanderbilt loyal listeners, don't be texting me. I'm just giving you a fact. He's a damn good college quarterback. He's a competitor. That's the number one thing he is a competitor, but he will not play at the next level.
Well, we saw a damn good quarterback last night in Washington. That kid,
both of those guys. I wanted to get – all right, let's go through the picks quick because I wanted to talk about the quarterbacks.
All right, I'll go through these New Year's Day picks since we're not doing a show on Wednesday. Happy New Year, everybody. 2025 is here. Let's start off with the first game, Texas and Arizona State. Texas is laying 12.5. That's too many for me. I'm going to take Arizona State.
It is a lot, but I think Arizona State's walking into a different animal.
Okay, so you're going to take Texas laying that number?
Yes.
These are the games that count, QB. These are the games that are going to tell you whether or not you know what you're talking about on picks, and me too, because these are the ones that I'm okay, Ohio State and Georgia laying 2.5. I really want to take Ohio State. I'm sorry, Ohio State and Oregon. I really want to take Ohio State, but Dylan Gabriel, there's something about this kid. He doesn't lose, man. He doesn't lose, and you're telling me at number 1 in the country that they are not as good as Ohio State, even though they beat them last time. I think I gotta lean on Oregon here.
All right, I'm gonna take the Buckeyes. I think they have the best roster in all of America.
Well,
and
that means they're gonna win, though.
It does not mean they're gonna win, but I just think they're gonna build off of what they did against Tennessee. As long as their quarterback plays decent, he doesn't have to be great, just decent.
Yeah, it's going to come down to which quarterback doesn't mess the game up. I forgot tomorrow night is Penn State and Boise. It's 11.5 QB.
I'm taking the Broncos.
I am too. I think Penn State is going to finally. Listen. They beat SMU. SMU should have been up 7-0 in that game. Everybody forgets how different that game would have been. I think if SMU scores that touchdown on 4th and 1 and doesn't try to throw a 20-yard pass going the opposite way. Let's go finally to the Sugar Bowl, where I mean this game is Notre Dame, and everybody wants Notre Dame to beat Georgia. But I'm telling you right now, Gunnar Stockton does not hurt Georgia. He will not hurt Georgia. They are ready to play. He is going to be the guy that leads them to the national championship or not. And Georgia and Notre Dame, until I see Notre Dame do it to an SEC team the way they've been doing it to all these other crap teams, I'm going to stick with the SEC team. So I'm going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. Listen, everybody's kind of overlooking that. Everybody wants Notre Dame. Everybody in America, on the radio, on television, they all want Notre Dame so badly because they love Marcus Freeman. I'm taking Georgia to win this game by a touchdown.
I like the Dogs too. I think they will manhandle Notre Dame.
Manhandle them.
Notre Dame's good up front, but they ain't seen what
they're missing. They're missing their best lineman on defense, so he'll be out. Riley something, and Georgia, of course, without Carson Beck. But I don't think Stockton hurts them.
No, he won't. He's a gamer. Integration, electronic World Integration Design Special Smart Home Automation and Entertainment, affordable local installation, service, and support. Go check them out at electronicsworld.net.
All right. You were going to say something about the
Yeah, real quick, I got a couple of texts from Robert in Fort Myers, and what's the deal with the UK's Vandergriff retiring? Didn't see that come. So Brock Vandergriff, if people missed this, the 5-star transfer from Georgia that went to Kentucky, and now you know why he never played a down at Georgia.
Yeah,
He was not very good. He is retiring from football.
yes, he
Which
should.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
He
Nothing wrong
probably
with it.
wants to move on with his life because he has no future in football.
Grayson McCall retired as well. I mean, he just realized he can't play this violent game. It's too much.
Then this says, how about them Colorado Buffs? Prime is so overrated as a coach.
They got it was men versus boys in that game. I was shocked. I'll be honest with you, I really was. I don't think Shedeur Sanders expected that, and he better expect it if he's going to go to the next level as high as he thinks he's going to go. He didn't have much help up front, that's true, but my goodness, BYU marginalized Colorado. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, BYU's been a very good football team all year long. They're the team that should be bitching and complaining that they didn't get in the playoffs.
That was kind of a conference game too. Colorado, BYU, both in the same conference playing a bowl game.
Yep.
Lions and Niners tonight, by the way, real quick, QB. The Lions need to win this game. They need to win this. Well, actually,
no, they don't.
That's right. You're right. They could lose this game. They need to win next week against Minnesota at home to get that rest and that home field. You like the Lions tonight against the Niners? I think they're still trying to play hard. It's a 3.5. I like them. The Niners are banged up and the season's over for us, San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting because, I mean, it's like the game means absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Okay. You're
nothing.
Right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. How about my Rams, by the way? Clinching the West. The Rams were 1-4 when they went on their open break on their idle week and ended up at 10-6. That is a 9-2 record for Sean McVay. What a play caller that guy is. It's incredible.
And he's got a damn good guy to call plays for.
Oh, man. Quarterback.
So, you know, everybody talks about I guess it maybe in the last couple of years about quarterback play. There's not a lot of great quarterbacks in the National Football. I disagree with that totally now, man. There's so many good quarterbacks, whether they're the Staffords, Joe Burrow is just absolutely ridiculous what he's doing.
Well, he became the only quarterback in history I sent you a text last night, QB, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and I think in 8 straight games, he's thrown for over 250 and 3 touchdowns in every game. He's ridiculous, but you got such good young players with Jaden Daniels, Penix, you know, Caleb Williams. I get these people all over Twitter bashing. This ain't Caleb Williams' problem. They got dudes around him, and if they just hire anybody that has any common sense of the forward pass and how to run an offense, the Bears will be fine. He is extremely talented. They have that whole coaching staff needs to be fired.
It will be. They're gone. They're done. And this next game they play is meaningless. Caleb Williams, he's got to get some help. There's no on the coaching end.
On the coaching side, he's got
Keenan Allen.
He's a good player. He's really good.
DJ Moore. I mean, and Keenan Allen will catch anything if you just get the ball to him. You're right. They've got to figure out how to scheme for Caleb. He had a rough run this year in Chicago. It's really too bad because they were doing fine until the Hail Mary hit him. When the Hail Mary hit him in Washington, it all came off the spokes or off the axles.
And he says, if the Bengals make the playoffs, which they still are in the hunt, is Joe Burrow your MVP? Probably not. I'd still give it to Josh Allen.
I mean, you got Josh Allen.
Lamar's having a better year when he did win the MVP.
Yeah, stats wise.
I mean, there's just so many good quarterbacks in the National Football League right now.
Well, the AFC seems to have most of them all stacked together, and you know, Kansas City at home, rested and healthy. It's still going to be a show me if you can beat them. I don't know who's going to beat Kansas City.
Their stats crazy to me. Since last Christmas, they're 20-1. 20-1 since last Christmas, and they have not scored over 30 points in a game.
They're just incredible. It shows you how good they are on defense. Great organization, and congratulations. We're watching a real dynasty right now in the NFL, and it's hard to do that with this league.
Didn't somebody tell you about 3 years ago?
Yeah.
That team was going to maybe do more than the Patriots?
Well, they haven't yet, but they're on their way.
Well, they're on their way, yeah. You got to give them time. I think he's in year 6, or is this year 7?
Yeah.
And
if
he's
they
won
win
the AFC like 5 or 6 times.
I mean, them winning the Super Bowl 3 years in a row is unseemly. It's incredible if that happens. And we'll see. Buffalo's going to give them a good run. So is Baltimore. I think the AFC is down to those 3 teams, and in the NFC, maybe 2. And so
don't count the Chargers out because they will lull you to sleep.
And they're physical and nasty, and they play a different type of game that can really muck it up for you and frustrate
boring
you.
as hell.
Yeah, but that was Michigan Wolverines last year, wasn't it?
Right.
I mean, he demands defense and a strong quarterback. That's what he wants, and if he gets that, Harbaugh can really mess you up. And he did that when he played for the Colts because they were a team that never really was expected to win anything, and all of a sudden you see him in the AFC Championship game with Jim Harbaugh. It's crazy. But that's who he is, and he's done a great job with the Chargers, and they have changed their culture of a team that finds ways to lose to a team that just buries you physically and wins games. And you're right about the Chargers. You're 1,000% right. That's a team that can go on the road and beat anybody, and we'll see.
What's crazy is there's going to be in the first time in the history of the National Football League, a 14-3 team be a 5 seed.
Yeah, it could happen.
Well, it's going to happen.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Yeah. So
because you've got the
Minnesota and Detroit. One of those teams is going to be 14-3
and play at Tampa
because they don't win their division. They're going to be the 5 seed
and play at Tampa. This is the way the NFL does it. They give the top 4 seeds to the division winners. And 1 year,
Seattle, it's just like the damn college football playoffs.
Yeah, well, I mean, 1 year Seattle was a home team with a losing record to the Saints. And Marshawn Lynch ran up and down the field against the Saints, but Seattle had a losing record. They were 7-9, and they got to play the home game against New Orleans. That just didn't sit well with me, but that's how it worked.
All right, before we get out of here, we had a text on the Titan More text line from Jonathan talking about if you were in charge of the Vikings, would you pay Sam Darnold? Absolutely, I would. I would. My man JJ McCarthy would sit his ass on the bench for a long time.
Sam has got a 1-year deal. He's getting paid $10 million, and he's been one of the greatest stories in the NFL this year. And O'Connell was a perfect coach for him because I think they both really, chemistry-wise, they both worked. And Darnold was just so good. If you watch that game and you listen to what Tom Brady says about how he reads defenses and how they come in and go out and all these things that he does at the line of scrimmage in the shotgun as he's calling plays and changing the play at the line of scrimmage. And it's just fun to listen to Tom Brady explain exactly what's happening for somebody who watches a game just to see points. If you watch the game to learn anything and you see what Sam Darnold was able to do and Tom Brady able to explain it to you, you really may have learned a lot in exercise there. And it was impressive to see because Green Bay is a very good team defensively, and Minnesota just found ways to just figure out how to score, and Minnesota is no joke. And Sam Darnold's the reason. Defensively, they're very good with Flores coaching on the sideline there. But my God, what a year Sam Darnold has had, and good for him. He has only got a 1-year contract, and I do believe if the Vikings go deep, they're going to keep him for the next 5. Right?
Regardless if they go deep or not, they're crazy as hell if they don't give him $50 million to be their starter.
How many?
40.
40, yeah. Well, they might. How many years has this guy been around QB? Wasn't he?
Year 7 for him.
Wow, and he was a Southern Cal guy.
He's a USC guy. Yeah, he was like one of the top 5. He was a top 5 pick. Very good player. I always thought he was very good. He played for the stupid Jets.
Yeah,
which ruin everybody.
Right. It's kind of like what Caleb's going through with the Bears. You got to have the staff there to help you get into the NFL.
Yeah, because when you look at all the offenses that are so fun to watch in the National Football League right now, they all somehow go back to the Shanahan days. Kevin O'Connell was part of the Rams, which Sean McVay was part of the Shanahan tree.
Yep. Matt LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur, which don't count the Packers out.
Oh, no, I'm not. They get hot at the right time of the year, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just cool because these young guys, man, the way they're calling and scheming up plays, it's so fun to watch.
And you're right. I mean, and I saw a stat yesterday that kind of blew my mind about Nick Sirianni. I never knew this, but in 4 years, there's only one coach, George Seifert, the late George Seifert of the 49ers, is the only coach to have won more games after the 4th season than Nick Sirianni at Philadelphia. We all asked ourselves, who the hell is this guy when they hired him? But Jeffrey Lurie knew something, and he brought in this Nick Sirianni. Now, we all make fun of him because of some of the decisions he makes on the sideline, but the Eagles are still winning football games with this guy. And look, they're the 2 seed. I wouldn't want to play Philly if they're healthy. That team's got more SEC guys that they're good, man. This NFL is going to be fun to watch in the playoffs, man.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Andy says on Facebook Live, Brady was talking about how important it was for O'Connell being a backup. Yeah. And I heard that part of the game. Being a backup quarterback is like being another coach because you have to do so much with the teammates. You don't ever practice really, but you're always telling when JC runs the wrong route, you go tell JC because he's, he runs in 7-on-7, you go run a route and then you come back because they have another group usually going and you say, if he's giving you this kind of leverage, you need to do this. If you see this, you need to do that. And that's what backup quarterbacks do in the National Football League. The ones that hang around, that are good teammates. That's what happens, and that's why O'Connell, in my opinion, is a very good.
That's kind of what you did, QB. But you didn't stick around and coach.
No, I played too long. O'Connell, he'd only played like 3 or 4 years. Okay, and then you got to decide. Okay, that's I was fortunate to play 14 years, but then a lot of times I go, man, I wish I would have gotten cut early because then I would have become a coach immediately.
Yeah. Who were you backing up in Chicago? I can't remember.
I backed up Harbaugh. Which it blows me away that he is as successful as he is. It blows me away.
Said that to me before.
It's astonishing.
Well, who
I also had Eric Kramer there. I had Steve Walsh there.
Steve Walsh, okay. Well,
I was behind Bledsoe, Carson Palmer, John Kitna.
Yeah, some good ones.
But my favorite was when I was in Chicago. When I was in Buffalo, Sam Weiss was the quarterback coach. He let me run the meetings for the quarterbacks. Oh, I was telling Bledsoe what to do.
Oh, well, Drew Bledsoe, great player. He was a great player. Yeah, he has a Super Bowl ring, even though he never played in the game. He has a ring.
Yeah. All right, JC, good stuff. We got to get to Bob Redman and talk about the Mighty Gators recruiting.
Good deal. All right, we'll see you Friday, right? Friday, QB?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. Come back. We'll talk a little Florida Gator recruiting.
Go Pirates.
All that kind of stuff with Bob Redman from Florida Victorious. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Crime Prevention Security System, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Bishop's Pitmaster Barbecue, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Cogent Bank, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Unleash the Inferno.
The best New Year's Eve party is Advisors Rooftop in Celebration Point. Ring in 2025 and party with DJ Santos and dance away the last of 2024. We'll have a selection of Spurrier's favorite dishes, hors d'oeuvres, sparkling wine pairings, cocktails, and the most fun you've had all year in the newly renovated, climate-controlled Advisors Rooftop. Go to Spurriers.com to purchase your tickets today before they're all gone. Celebrate the start of your best year. Advisors Rooftop. Must be 21.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. For sprains, strains, and minor fractures, UF Health Ortho Care makes it convenient for you 7 days a week, including evenings. Walk-ins are welcome as well. That's UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Back to the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We are going to be joined by Hollywood Bob Redman from Florida Victorious. Happy holidays, Bob. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. It's been a good holiday for me. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's start first. I believe the portal has closed for teams that are done playing. Obviously, it's still open for a few more days if you're still playing in bowl games. Uh, we've had people on this program, I don't want to say upset, but haven't signed a whole lot of guys out of the portal. Look, take it for what it's worth. We signed a receiver, a rush guy from UMass, and I can't remember who else out of the portal.
Punter.
Yeah, give a punter. Give us an update on that, Bob, and what you think these guys bring to the program.
Oh, well, I think J. Michael Sturdivant is the first one you have to look at. They need to replace Elijah Badger and oh
Jim
my God,
DK.
yeah, they need to replace those guys. And the thing about the receiver core is it's a very, very talented receiver group, but they're very young. And I think bringing in a guy that's been around a long time, actually been very productive from UCLA is a big deal. He's also got a big body guy that can actually run. So he's got all the things you're looking for. And I think bringing in somebody like that, they brought in the punter from Michigan. And, he's a guy, again, that's been around the block a long time. You had to replace both punter and kicker this year. I think bringing in a guy that's done it before and is ready to go in terms of that. I think he had a good year. He didn't have a great year this past season, but in 2023 he had a really good year, and I think you can't go wrong with that. I think one of the things with this roster now, it's pretty. I don't want to say it's young. It's not really young, but it's talented. But there's not a whole lot of no, let me reword that. There are spots on the roster that they have to fill in with experience, and I think that's what they're aiming for with this portal. They brought in the edge guy from UMass, and I'm sorry I don't have all the names with me right now, and I got to get used to him. But he's a guy, again, I don't think you expect him to start, but I think he's definitely a guy that will play and fill in, and a guy with experience, and somebody that will just help along those lines with a young group of guys that are out there. And actually, the edge guys on Florida, there's kind of a mixture. There's a couple of older guys and a few young guys that can play. So I think right now that's about where they're at. And I think they're going to add more pieces. And I know people do get a little antsy, worried, whatever you want to say. They think they're slow. But there's a whole lot of football still left to play out there. And the thing is that I keep telling people is that the best teams are still playing, and those best teams are going to lose players. And some of them are going to be really good players. And I can tell you Florida's got their target on whoever, not whoever, but a lot of the guys that are going to end up in the portal from those teams.
Yeah, they also signed that quarterback from
the quarterback.
Charlotte kid.
Yeah, I think that was another one that it's kind of par for the course in terms of the way they had to treat this portal, in that they didn't really need starters, but they needed guys to come in that are able to play football and they can play, and that's what you get from the guy from Charlotte, the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, because he played quite a bit at Charlotte. He obviously is getting more money to come here to be a backup than he was there. Because I said on the show a couple of weeks ago, Kerwin Bell's lost a lot of his players to be backups because he can't pay them hardly anything. So he's lost backups to Power 4 schools. We got a text here on the Titan MR text line, Bobby. This is from James, he wants to know, do you think there will be any coaching changes on this staff?
Yeah, I do. There will be more coaching changes. What they're waiting for, maybe they're waiting for their contracts to run out. I don't know. Um, maybe they are waiting for the portal to finish because they have whatever continuity they do have right now to get these guys in and that kind of thing. I do think there will be more changes. I think you're going to see more changes on both sides of the ball too. So, how many that's going to be, we'll see. But I do think that will happen.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we got a Under Armour, I believe it's an Under Armour All-American
Hmm.
football game going on. When is that game? And the Gators have 6 or 7 players in it, correct?
Correct. It's on January 2nd at 4 p.m. and the Gators have 7 guys in the game. Right.
I saw a list. Somebody sent me the list of the players. Obviously, Vernell Brown's
Hmm.
kid's playing in it.
Right.
Allison Wilson's in it.
Yep.
I saw Will Griffin is playing in this, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Why?
that's
Isn't he still in high school?
yeah, they actually this year is the first time they are actually allowing I think they have 5 or 6 guys from 2026 class that are going to come in and play. I think when you look at the big scheme of things, they're trying to get the best talent out there, and some of the guys that in that 2026 class are better, are better than some of the kids that they would probably get in this game, and they evidently think about that about Will Griffin, the quarterback that Florida has committed for 2026. So he's going to get his chance to shine in that game early. This is the first year they've done that.
There are many car washes in Gainesville, but only one Gallo car wash, locally owned by UF alum, and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. 3 locations. Go check them out. That's Gallo Car Wash. We got Hollywood Bob Redman here from Florida Victorious, talking a little recruiting Gator football. Amy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Laws says, do you think playing time or money is the most important thing in retaining talent?
I think it depends on the kid. It's tough. The money's getting right now so big that um that it's becoming a bigger and bigger factor all the time. I know of a kid that and this is all at another school, 2 schools. He was a backup quarterback at a Power Four program. Didn't see the field as a true freshman. Transferred to another Power Four program just in the last couple of weeks, and is getting as a quarterback as a backup that never played. They are paying him $700,000 this year to be that guy, and hopefully he starts for them or whatever. But I mean that's a backup guy that never saw the field getting that kind of money as a true freshman, transferring with no film to watch or anything like that. That's just the way it is right now. It's a little crazy in my opinion, and I think those dollar amounts are just so high that it's just the way it is. I know there's been a lot of angst over Jack Pyburn, but if that money wasn't there, he wouldn't have transferred away from Florida. It's just the case. So um, it, it is the way it is. I do think there are some kids that I think inevitably there are some times that a kid weighs, okay, I might make a little bit more money going to this place, but staying here, my future's brighter. And I think a lot of cases, if they have a good agent person that they're dealing with that knows the ropes, I think that's how you end up keeping kids for maybe a little bit less money.
Text on the Titan Mark text line from George. He says, Bob, were you surprised at any of the Gators that did go into the portal?
I think I was surprised at Jakeem Jackson for one. I think that one really got me. I was surprised when Pyburn did it, and then he's just motivated by the money, and I get it. But I was surprised by Jakeem Jackson simply because I think um, he's got all the talent in the world. I know he's had some problems on the field a little bit, a busted player here or there, but all the talent in the world and certainly a shot to start at Florida and instead of going somewhere else. And he knows the system. I think to me, he's the big one, other than Pyburn. But a lot of them, no. I mean, there are. I'll say they wanted to keep some of the guys they lost for sure. But I wasn't very surprised that they went. I think the depth at edge rusher kind of swayed TJ Searcy to probably go, plus the money. But, I think overall, I think this wasn't a horrible class in terms of what the Gators lost. But there were a few pieces they certainly would have liked to keep.
Barone71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says Pi Bernardi was interviewed and, like Princely, stated he wanted to play in a different scheme that allowed more pass rushing opportunities. He's not a great pass rusher. I don't care what scheme he plays in. That's just what I've seen.
Right.
I mean, would you agree with that, Bob, or disagree?
Yeah, I don't. I really like the way he plays. I think
I love the way he plays. I think he plays
right.
tough, but
Right.
he's limited.
Yes, and he has a real chance of hurting himself doing this. He has a real chance of going somewhere, not picking up the scheme fast, and all that stuff. I understand what he said, but I also know for a fact that he told somebody mid-season or something that he's playing for the bag. So it's about the money. He can say what he wants about all that other stuff, and I do think he wants to be. He thinks of himself as a 4-down or 3-down player, but he's probably not that guy. And he probably needs to understand that the NFL has, they specific players to throw out there. They expect different guys to be able to do different things, and not everybody can be a 3-down player.
Yeah, and I pointed this out to some guys I'm on a text feed with during the game last night, watching the NFL game. Everybody thinks, and there's that 1% that makes it in the National Football League, right? Or whatever the percentage is. Just because you go to a big school does not mean you're going to even have an opportunity at the next level. The two best players on the Atlanta Falcons defense was their Judon, who's from like Grand Valley State or somewhere, and then their linebackers from Idaho, right? The NFL is going to find guys that can play in that level, regardless if you play Power 5 or Division 3, they will find you. But anyway, I just don't think, regardless of the scheme, I don't think he's a great pass rusher, period. Here's a text from Joshua. He wants to know, Bob, do you think there's any chance Shamar James comes back after he hears from the NFL?
I think he's probably already heard a lot from the NFL, or one way or another. These agents, they they get all that information early. I mean, they do. As the season goes, these agents are picking up information on where these kids are going to be rated and all. I don't think so. I think Shamar's probably gone. I think he's probably gotten the word that he expects to be drafted, whatever I don't know what that number is, what round or whatever. But he's had an injury plagued career here, and he probably wants to be able to play before he injures himself too much, I guess. But I think his agent has probably gathered enough information to tell him, it's time to go. The thing about Shamar is, look, he's been a great player for Florida when he's been on the field and been able to be on the field. But I can tell you he's gotten a raise every single time that a raise was possible here, because teams were coming after him. And, that's how it goes with this NIL world. But every single time that the window opens for teams to come after somebody and somebody to get in the portal, Shamar James got a raise here at Florida. And, that tells you right there, all those teams that watch film themselves, just what people think of Shamar James as a player.
Yeah, I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's going to make it in the National Football League, though.
Yeah.
I think he might be on a roster for 2 or 3 years as a special teams guy.
Hmm.
Um, but physicality, I think he can run, but boy, that's a different level. I hope it works out though.
Right.
We got a lot of texts here about Dante Fowler looking awesome last night. Yeah, I try to tell people we have not had elite pass rushers at Florida since Jonathan Grenard and Dante Fowler.
I think that's fair. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
those are
those
two
players played a
real good
long time
ones.
ago.
Yeah. It's Yeah, Grenard was. You surely would have loved to have him for more than 1 year, but yeah, those are. You're right. I think we because you got to. The thing is it's hard to find guys that big that can do that. You usually get them a little smaller, and then sometimes those guys have trouble fighting off the offensive tackles. So you got to get guys that are 280 pounds that can really run like that, and it's kind of hard to find.
Baron says, do you think Shamar might be a tweener at the NFL level, too small for linebacker, too slow for safety? Well, he's not going to be able to play safety. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Carlos Dunlap was another one, but we're talking about from what he was 2008.
Yeah.
Carlos Dunlap. I mean,
Hmm.
we're talking 16 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We have not had any elite guys in a long time. Um, there was a question here on the Titan MR text line for you, Bob. And this is from William. He says, Bob, there's still always this talk about Billy hiring an offensive coordinator. Do you think it will happen?
People want to pin you down on certain position coaches. Um, this one is a big question with the media, and some people say yes, and some people. I think he's going to. I think I don't know who it is, but I think he is, and I think there probably be more than one change on offense too. So, um, right now there's no holes in the offensive staff, so that he's got to make some room somehow. But I do think they're going to bring in an offensive coordinator.
All right, that's interesting. I don't think they will, but you know more than I do. Um,
I wouldn't say that.
well, I don't. I mean, I really don't. But I'm still concerned about the defense personally. But um, we'll see. And I just don't think, with the way DJ played as a freshman, you don't
Hmm.
want to change the terminology and the scheme, right? I mean, he's got a good grasp to it. That's why, you know, when Peyton Manning went from team to team and Aaron Rodgers went from team to team and they ran their offense they knew, regardless of who the coordinator was. If he's comfortable with it, I don't know why you would change it.
Hey, let
So,
me let me comment on that. I actually agree with you, Shane. I don't. I'm just going with what I think will happen, not
yeah.
necessarily what I think should happen. So I think the biggest issues on offense are still the offensive line, and some of it has to do with recruiting, some of it has to do with, I guess, coaching or whatever, getting the right guys out there. I think when I watch the games. I think there are too many times that DJ is having to maneuver to make a play. People, I think that's an issue. I think you can't go through your progressions when you're on the run all the time or having to make two or three moves in the pocket just to get enough space to throw the ball. And I think to me, I think the running back room is excellent. I think the receiver room now is going to be dynamic. I think tight ends are fine. I don't know if there's, I think they've gone to a different type of tight end they want now simply because they can't block well enough on the offensive line. They need an extra blocker up there. And I think that, that becomes an issue. So to me, I don't necessarily think they need a new play caller or a new whatever offensive coordinator. I think they have to do, and I'm not necessarily saying changes in coaching staff on the offensive line, but they have to get better on the offensive line offensively. And going back to one of the other questions, Shane, I think LJ McCray could be that pass rusher at Florida with what he's able to do. He's got to get older, but I think he can be that guy that we've been looking for several years now. And then, yeah, I agree with you on defense. And You already lost one piece of the defensive coaching staff, but I do think there's areas on the defense that can improve as well.
Yeah. Gator Art says, Bob, will you take the task of asking Billy if he'll ever go four wides? Kevin Brockway asked that during the bowl week. He asked it to Russ Calloway, though, because he takes the questions as the offensive coordinator, and he said that they want to put their best 11 players on the field. We will never go four wides, in my opinion. We've never ran it one time here. I don't think that will ever happen. Bob, how can people follow you on Twitter?
Geez. I would never say my Twitter address, but I'm Bob_Redman67 on Twitter, and I'm at Florida Victorious.
Awesome stuff. Appreciate your time. Happy holidays, my man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Shane.
That's Hollywood Bob Redman. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Hope you enjoyed today's program. We'll be here tomorrow, folks. Have a great day. Take care.